everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Kristen, this is my booktube, and it has been a minute since I have uploaded anything. It's been a rough couple months, I will say. Mental health hasn't been the best. And I have attempted several times to film a video to upload, but for one reason or another, it just has not worked out in recent weeks/months. So if you're seeing this, it means that I finally was able to film and complete a video and edit it for you all to see. So that's something. We'll celebrate that. I am doing a lot better mentally than I was this time about 2 months ago. However, it's still not great, but you know, we gotta make do with what we got. So here I am making this video. Just because I haven't been making videos does not mean that I haven't been reading. I have been doing some reading, but it has been very sluggish. So that's part of the reason why filming some reading vlogs and things like that hasn't really worked out in recent weeks. But we're trying to change that, so this is step number 1. And for this week's video, I decided that I was going to film the process of a big crochet project / reading goal that I have for the month of October. And that is reading Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. That is our book club's pick for the month of October. It is our spooky read for the month. So the spoiler-free Goodreads synopsis of Kill for Me, Kill for You is: for fans of The Silent Patient and Gone Girl, a razor-sharp Hitchcock-inspired thriller about two ordinary women who make a dangerous pact to take revenge for each other after being pushed to the brink. One dark evening on New York City's Upper West Side, two strangers meet by chance. Over drinks, Amanda and Wendy realize they have much in common, especially loneliness and an intense desire for revenge against the men who destroyed their families. As they talk into the night, they come up with the perfect plan. If you kill for me, I'll kill for you. In another part of the city, Ruth is home alone when the beautiful brownstone she shares with her husband Scott is invaded. She's attacked by a man with piercing blue eyes who disappears into the night. Will she ever be able to feel safe again while the blue-eyed stranger is still out there? Intricate, heart-racing, and from the author who is, quote, the real deal, as said by Lee Child. Kill for Me, Kill for You will keep you breathless until the final page. For our workbook club around Halloween, we typically do a trick-or-treat type thing where people bring either Halloween candy, like you would expect from a trick-or-treat function, or they will bake something, craft something for everyone in the group, and you just bring whatever you want to exchange, and we have a little trick-or-treat thing in our book club meeting. It's super cute, super fun, and I love doing it every year. So this year, I wanted to do a little something extra, and I also wanted an incentive to film a video to put up on my channel, because I tried doing just reading vlogs of what I'm reading and that kind of thing, and it just ended up always falling apart. So I needed something with a bit more structure, so I decided to challenge myself and see how much I can crochet in the process of reading Kill for Me, Kill for You for my work book club. And what I am crocheting for the book club are these little ghosts, and I have to make about 20 of them for the book club group. So I figured, since I have to read the book anyway, I was doing audio, and I have to make these little ghosts for the Halloween trick-or-treat thing that I wanted to do for the group, I decided to combine them and turn it into a video for you all. So this video is going to be how many of these little ghosts can I crochet in the time it takes me to listen to Kill for Me, Kill for You. Now, a few caveats that we need to disclose before we jump into this video. 1, the audiobook is 10 hours long, but I never listen to audiobooks on normal speed. It is just a little too slow for me and it drives me insane. So throughout this challenge, I will be listening to the audiobook on 1.25 speed, which means that the time it takes me to listen to the book will actually be more like 8-ish hours rather than 10 hours if I were to listen to it at regular speed. So we need to keep that in mind, that even though the book is 10 hours long, in reality, it took me 8 hours to listen to the book because I increased the speed. And 2, this is not what the finished ghost is going to look like. I am actually going to add little arms and the ghost is going to be holding a book. I'll put a picture up here of the mock one that I did when I was first thinking of doing this project. But my thought process was that I would rather get all of the little ghost bodies done so that I know that I have 20 of them before I dive into doing the details like the little arms and the books, because I would much rather have the ghosts done, and then if I end up not having enough time to do the arms and book details on these, I still at least have these little ghosts that are very cute by themselves. I think I'll have plenty of time to do all the arms for them before the book club meeting, but in any case, I just wanted to make sure that I would at least have the ghosts done for sure before the meeting. So if you see these little ghosts pop up in another video and they look different because they have little arms and they're holding books, just know that it's because I added them after this. I'm not doing that in this video. And the last little tidbit before we just jump on into the actual meat of the video is that I did not completely start from scratch. I did have like the top head part of one of these done already when I started this challenge. So you're gonna have to forgive me, I'm rounding up. I'm counting completed ghosts. I'm not counting half ghosts. So we're including that little tidbit that I started in the grand total of everything. But to be fair, it's negligible when it comes to the time that it took me to do it. It takes me like 10 minutes to start one of these, if that. So I'm really not cheating that much by doing that, at least not in my mind. But that's pretty much all of the background you need for this video. It's a pretty basic premise. I hope that it's entertaining. This is gonna be kind of a lame upload if it's not at least entertaining, but I feel like it's gonna be entertaining. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into the crochet/reading portion of this video. And I will check back in with you guys at the end to tell you our grand total of how many ghosts that I was able to crochet throughout this challenge. Because, spoiler alert, I already finished the book and I know how many ghosts that I made during the challenge. So stick around to the end of the video and I'll let you know as well. Alrighty friends, checking in. It has been about an hour and 40 minutes that I've been sitting here crocheting and reading, and I now have to switch gears and go to work, unfortunately. I would rather just sit and crochet for the rest of the morning, but alas, I have responsibilities to get to. So figured I'd just give a little update and then we can continue this after work this evening. I did get 8 chapters into the audiobook for Kill for Me, Kill for You. I'm not entirely sure how much listening time that is. I am still listening at 1.25 speed, so it's probably around 2 hours that I've made it into the book right now, if not maybe a little bit more. But it is interesting so far. We're still in kind of like the setup phase for the entire story. We have our 2 main women who have been introduced and we have found out about their tragic backstories, but they have not met each other yet and formulated the plan that is the namesake of this book, Kill for Me, Kill for You. So enjoying it so far, but I don't really have much to say thought-wise because, like I said, we're still in the setup of this book, but I did get some good crochet work done. I finished the second half of this little ghost and I started a new one. So altogether, I probably made it through 1 entire crochet ghost. So for the counter right now, we are about 2 hours into the audiobook with 1 full ghost done. So that is the check-in so far, and we will pick this up after I get off of work today. Alrighty, good morning friends.
It is very early in the morning. It is about 5:30 right now, right? Yeah, it's 5:34. Yeah, so it's about 5:30 in the morning right now. I didn't intentionally wake up this early. I woke up at like 4 with some tummy problems, and I'm not really sure why. But in any case, I've been up for a bit. I've been just like laying in bed because I didn't want to get out of bed at 4 a.m. That's gross. I wanted to at least like have a little more time in bed, even if I wasn't sleeping. So we're up now and ready to get started with the day. I didn't check in last night just because I don't know. I don't know. It just feels like a lot of yapping. So, so instead of doing an update last night, I decided to just wait till the morning and give you an update plus a plan for the day. So we can just like kind of cut down on the sit down yapping parts of the video. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I like it this way. But in any case, yesterday I finished up work around like 4:30 or so. And I'm not gonna lie, it was not a stellar day of work. I was not in a very good mood at the end of the work day. So I decided to go on a little mental health walk after work. So I did that, and then when I got back home, I did some other things until around like 6:37. Then I finally sat down and started listening to the book and working on my crochet project a little bit more. And in the end, yesterday, I was able to finish 2 and like a quarter ghosts. So these are the 2 fully finished ones that I've done so far. And as far as how far I am into the audiobook, I'm about 3 hours in and have about 7 hours left. And I have definitely messed up my counting on these. They've gotten off a little bit. I've had to rip some stitches back and redo them. So all in all, it probably takes me about an hour to make one of these from start to finish. Luckily, I am doing this with plenty of time before the meeting. So even if I don't finish all the ghosts in this video, I still have plenty of time to finish them for the book club meeting. So before work, I want to listen to a bit more of the audiobook and also continue working on this little ghost. Then once it is time for me to go to work, I will be heading up to the office today, so I will have to actually get dressed and all of that fun stuff. I also want to go for a run today, so after work, I'm going to go for a run, then I'll take a shower, we can come back home, reconvene, and continue working on these little ghosts. So the book itself is actually due back to my library around like 11 a.m. today. So whatever I have left when the book inevitably returns itself to my library, I will just have to go find the audiobook on like Spotify or something and see if I can finish it there. Hopefully I can, but I feel like it should be available on there, right? Included with premium. Amazing. So it is on Spotify. So yeah, once that book returns itself to my library, I will have to finish whatever I have left on Spotify. Not a huge deal. Spotify audiobooks are usually like my last resort if I can't find a book elsewhere or if my library loan runs out and I still have a little bit of the book to finish. That's what I've been using my 15 audio hours for on Spotify, is just to kind of like top up on books that I just didn't finish before the time ran out with my library. And I will be doing the same with this book. So that's pretty much the plan for the day. As far as what I'm thinking about the book so far, we only just got into the whole presenting of the deal. The whole kill for me, kill for you premise has finally reared its head. And the 2 women have made their pact to switch murders. And they did drop a mention of Strangers on a Train, which I was wondering if they were going to do. That is another book that I have heard of several times before. I believe it was in... I don't remember what book it was, but there was another like Agatha Christie-esque murder mystery from like the recent past that also mentioned Strangers on a Train. So that has been a book that I have thought about reading for a while, so maybe I'll end up reading it this month. Who's to say? But I feel like with it being referenced a couple times in the books that I'm reading, that is often a sign for me that it's probably a book that I would enjoy reading. And yeah, the book is getting interesting. I'm still trying to piece together one specific part. So like I've said when I've mentioned kind of loosely what the plot of this book is, there are 2 women who both have someone that they would like to no longer be alive, shall we say, and agree to exchange murder targets. Hence the title, Kill for Me, Kill for You. Now, that all makes sense, right? But the thing that is still plaguing me in this book, which obviously it's going to be worked out because, you know, it's a big part of the book, but there's a third woman involved in this whole story. So the two main women in this story who exchanged murder targets, they both have daughters who were abducted, abused, and then subsequently murdered by these men who are basically untouchable by the law for one reason or another, whether there's just not enough evidence to connect the person that they are certain did the crime to the crime itself in order to prosecute them, or they are just very wealthy, privileged white men who are able to pull strings to get themselves out of pretty much any situation that they find themselves in. But the third woman in this book is, at least up to this point, seemingly not really related to the other two. Her name is Ruth, and she is married to a man named Scott. They have what seems to be a very nice house that they have started to build a life in. They're trying for children and trying to build a family, right? And then one night when Scott is like out with his buddies at a bar and Ruth is home alone, she goes to bed, and then in the middle of the night she hears a glass break in the kitchen, and she assumes that it's her husband who just got home drunk and he's fumbling for a glass of water and ended up dropping the glass, right? So she's not concerned at all. She goes downstairs and is confronted with an intruder. She only really sees his reflection in a window pane as he approaches behind her, and the only real defining characteristic that she remembers before he knocks her out with chloroform like a 19th century doctor is the fact that he has these like piercing blue eyes, right? And so as these two women are like conniving together, making their whole plan, we're also bouncing back and forth between that and following along with Ruth's story as she deals with the aftermath of someone attempting to murder her in her own home. So I'm really not understanding so far how these three women are all tangled together. Like, obviously the two that are working together, I understand how they're tied together, but I'm not entirely sure how Ruth fits into all of this just yet. I will say I am a little suspicious of her husband. Like, the author's just doing that thing where they're kind of making the husband a little too perfect, if that makes sense. She talks a lot about how grateful she is for her husband, how much she trusts her husband, and how she needs him to protect her and all of this stuff. And she's really like leaning on him in this hard time, like rightfully so. That's kind of the whole point of the through sickness and health like vows that you make when you get married. But anyways, it just feels a little too perfect to me, someone who regularly reads thrillers. But I'm also not completely abandoning the idea that Ruth is somehow involved with these other two women herself. I have no idea in what capacity. It's not like she could be a long lost daughter of one of these two women, because both of their daughters were under the age of 18 and Ruth is like almost 40. So there's no way it can be something like that. So the connections between Ruth herself and these other women aren't really presenting themselves. But also, going back to my suspicion of the husband, we really don't know much about Ruth's husband, Scott, either. So that makes me suspicious of him as well, because all we really have to go on is Ruth's perception of her husband and how she's feeling about him in this heightened, very emotional time in her life. So I'm not exactly taking that as like the gospel truth of who Scott is as a person. I would love to believe that he is just a supportive husband and he is just, you know, trying his best to take care of his wife and make sure that she's okay and all of that stuff. But I'm also suspicious of men in these books, so I don't trust him. So yeah, that is my update so far. I've been yapping for 20 minutes. So I guess let's just go ahead and jump into doing some more reading and making some more little ghosts. In total, I have 10 ghosts, so I'm officially like halfway done with making these little crochet ghosts. I don't think I'm gonna finish all 20 in this video, but I'm gonna try to get as close as I can. So the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I stop yapping and start crocheting. So let's go ahead and do that. morning, friends. So, it is about 10:20 on Sunday morning, and I am still not done with the book yet, shocker. I still have, I think, about like 2.5 hours left of the audiobook if I were listening to it regular speeds. So I probably have like less than 2 hours left in this audiobook. I wasn't gonna film an update until later today, but I have hit some plot twists in this book, and I just need to yap about how I feel like I could write this stuff, okay? Because so far, I have guessed every single twist in this book, minus like one that kind of came out of left field and it wasn't like a central plot twist per se, but it was shocking nonetheless. But yeah, so one of the biggest twists just happened, and it was a reveal that I feel like I saw coming from like chapter 5 maybe in this book. That's not to like brag and be like, oh, I'm so superior because I figured it out early. But I do get really excited when I do clock something like that really early based on like really small details. And I'm pretty good about guessing some twists in thrillers, at least like the major twists. I think I just read enough thrillers to where I know like the formulaic things that thriller authors like to do, especially when there are multiple perspectives involved. Like, I know the tricks of like misdirection that they use when they want you to think one thing is happening when in actuality a totally separate thing is actually going on. And since there's under 2 hours left, I don't really think that there's going to be any twists that utterly shock me, but if that changes, I will let you know. But yeah, this story is crazy. And that's part of the reason why I'm being vague about it, because it is a pretty decent story. There are a couple things where I'm like, okay, I don't know about that choice in this story, but they're not huge things or anything like that, so I'm willing to give them a pass. But yeah, I was literally just sitting here crocheting and the reveal happened and I was just screaming, I knew it, in my living room by myself. So I figured I should turn on my camera and give you a little update. Yeah, so that's how the reading is going so far. I don't even remember the last time I checked in with what I've crocheted so far, but I believe the last time that we spoke, I had 4 little ghosts done. And so far this morning, I have finished another one. So we have 5 little ghosts for our crochet count so far. So we've done 5 ghosts in about like 7-ish hours. So it's seemingly taking me a little, actually, let me turn these around so you can see their little eyes. Hello, friend, you wanna join the party? There we go. So it's seemingly taking me about a little over an hour per ghost, which I think is what I estimated going into this. So we'll see how many I end up with at the end, and we can divide that across my 8-hour listening time and see where we sit. The meeting is like 2 days before Halloween, so I still have plenty of time to finish these before the actual meeting. So yeah, that is my update so far, how I'm doing, how I'm feeling. I really hope that I can get this video up today. I'm almost done with the book, so the main filming part of this video is going to be completed. I just don't know how long it's going to take me to edit all of this together, so we'll see. If you're seeing this on Sunday, that means that I was successful in uploading when I wanted to upload, but if you see it on Monday, just know that I tried my best, okay? But it's also like the week before my birthday, so I'm also like trying to do birthday things with my parents and stuff, so you'll have to forgive me that I strayed a little bit on this challenge, but it's my birthday week and I'm not going to turn down my parents taking me to lunch. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say with this check-in, is just that the twists are happening in the book, and they are things that I predicted way early in the book as probable twists that could happen with the story setup. So I'm quite pleased with myself for clocking that early on. And I gave you an update on where we are with the ghost crocheting. So I'm just gonna sit here for the next like 2-ish hours, finish up the book, try to finish as many of the little ghost bodies as I can, and I will check in when that is completed with a final count of how many ghosts I was able to get through in this challenge.
Alrighty friends, we have reached the end of the challenge. I have finished the audiobook, and before we talk about what I thought about the book, I'm going to just go ahead and relieve you of your burning desire to know how many ghosts I was able to make during this video, because I know that is the top priority of everyone watching this video right now. So in the end, in the about 8 hours that I was listening to this audiobook, I was able to make 1, 2, let's see if I can hold them all, 3, 4, hold on, let me like rearrange these, 5, 6, 7. I made 7 ghosts in the 8 hours that I was listening to this audiobook, which is about what I was expecting. I estimated that it would take about an hour per ghost for me to do. Just because since I'm trying to make them as uniform as possible, I really was trying to make sure that I was counting all my rows right. Normally, if I like make a mistake here and there on a one-off project, I just kind of keep going and just like try to work with it, so I'm not like trying to rip out a bunch of stitches and redo them. So with these, there was a lot of doing a row, ripping it out because I missed a stitch or I added an extra one or something like that. So if I was trying to crochet as fast as possible, I probably could have made more, but I was trying to make them look uniform. So I went a little slower than I normally would. And all in all, I think they came out pretty cute. I mean, there's not much to them. They're just like a little bell shape with like, you know, a crocheted bottom, and they're stuffed with little safety eyes and stuff. But still think they came out pretty cute. Just so you all can get like the full vision of what I'm trying to go for, this is the little containers that I'm putting them in. They're gonna have little books that are poking out above both of these little containers. And then inside is just, you know, a couple pieces of candy. I just got some, you know, random assorted Halloween candy, just so they weren't completely empty. It also helps the little ghosts like actually be able to see outside of these little barrels, because without the candy in it, they sit a little too low. So yeah, I just thought that made for a cute little trick-or-treat basket thing for my coworkers. You'll have to forgive me because it's not sewn together yet, but that's kind of the vision of what it looks like with the little book and everything. I just haven't sewn like the arms. I haven't sewn the arms or the book onto one of them yet. I just made these just to see if I liked how they looked. So that's the vision I'm going for, and we are really close to getting done with them, actually. I think in total I have 16 of them done, so I only have 4 more ghosts to finish, and today is the 19th. So I have pretty much like 9 days until our meeting to finish crocheting all my ghosts and figure out a raffle prize, and I will be good to go for the book club meeting. This is probably the earliest that I've ever finished one of our book club books. I am notorious for being a procrastinator when it comes to finishing our work book club books. Even since I started leading the book club, I've still been very bad about finishing them in a timely manner. So we're trying to rectify that situation here. And this may be something that I continue going forward, like attaching a crochet project to whatever book we're reading in my work book club, just so I have that motivation to sit down and actually listen to the audiobook, because I feel like that's been a lot of the struggle for me for the last couple months. That could be a good thing for me to do going forward, is just kind of marrying one of my crochet projects to a certain book so that it helps me actually sit down and read a book in a timely fashion. And speaking of reading books in a timely fashion, let's go ahead and talk about Kill for Me, Kill for You. So overall, I really enjoyed this thriller. It was very interesting and quite confusing for a good chunk of the book, which I really enjoy because, as I've said in the past, I really like thrillers that I have to kind of like sit and think about. If I'm like reading a thriller and I have to pause it every once in a while to really like take in whatever they're saying and sit and ruminate with the facts to try to piece together what's going on, that's the kind of thriller that I'm really into, and that is what this thriller gave to me. I will say that I did see pretty much every single twist coming. I don't think there was really any big plot twists that caught me completely off guard. Like even some of the biggest plot twists, I either already had a suspicion about that person, or I just like straight up called the plot twist in like chapter 5 of reading. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I am also the type of person that when I read, I hyperfixate on the details that are being stated in the story, especially when it comes to thrillers, just because I know how thriller writers operate. I know the little tricks that they like to use, the little misdirections and things. So I am like hypersensitive to that. And I think that this book will probably catch a lot of people off guard and they will not see the twists coming. There are multiple twists in the book, and I think that they are fairly well done, to where if you are not the type of reader that really remembers like tiny details such as the age of specific people or, you know, fleeting details like someone's eye color or something like that, then this book will probably blow your mind, honestly, with the twists in it. But I'm just the kind of person that is always paying attention to little details like that, trying to piece together everything in my mind. I'm always suspicious of pretty much every character in a thriller, so I'm hesitant to believe what people are saying in the thrillers that I read. So I was just a little more on high alert and looking out for those things. So I think that there's definitely a way to go about reading this where you don't just actively anticipate the twists, and it will catch you off guard and end up being a really fun twist for you. So all in all, I think I would give this book probably like a 4, maybe like a 4.25. Just because I did really enjoy the book. I think that it could have been stronger in certain areas. There were parts of the book where I was like, okay, that's not really like that realistic, or like, why in the world would that character make that choice at this moment? But other than those like little moments in this book, overall, it was a very well done thriller. And I did really enjoy it. It was very gripping and kept me engaged throughout the entire story. So yeah, I thought the book was really good overall. I thought the twists were really fun, even if I did guess them ahead of time or was suspicious about the correct person. It was still a fun ride. I still really enjoyed the book. So I would give it like a 4.25. If you are really into the like Gone Girl kind of whiplash thriller where for a good chunk of the book, you just have information coming at you and you don't really know what to do with it all or how it all fits together, then you'll probably enjoy this book quite a bit. Because even as I was guessing twists correctly, there were still aspects of the story that I couldn't quite piece together how they fit in or how they would come together in the end. I had my suspicions of certain characters and where they would end up being involved that were close, but I did not guess every single twist in this book, and there was still enough confusion going on within the story that it kept me engaged throughout the entire book. So that's what I mean when I say that I guessed a lot of the big twists early, but when you have a book like this that's so chaotic and there's just so much going on, there is still enough there within the story to keep you engaged, even if you figure out some of the other plot twists that are going on. So for that reason, I would recommend this book to other people. I thought it was a pretty solid thriller, and I'm looking forward to getting back into reading more thrillers because I do feel like this kind of gave me a little boost of wanting to get back into reading thrillers again. I have a thriller that I'm reading physically that I really need to make time to sit down and read more. So I think starting next week, I will try to maybe find some time before work in the morning to sit down and do some reading. So you might be seeing a reading vlog coming soon because that helps motivate me to actually do that. If I have in my head that I'm going to film myself reading before I go to work, it helps me actually do that. So if you see a reading vlog soon of me reading a physical book, you know exactly what happened. Overall, I think that it went pretty well. I didn't finish crocheting all of the ghosts for my book club meeting, but that's okay because we can just continue this in a reading vlog next week and you can see me finish them then. The main goal I went into this video with is just to crochet some ghosts, get some reading done, and upload a YouTube video. So I have hit all 3 of those goals with this video right here. And so I'm happy. I'm happy with that. And I've even got some little crochet ghosts to show for it. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and leave a like down below. Let me know. I will try to get back to a normal upload schedule. I'm not promising anything because my birthday is next week and, you know, birthday festivities gotta take precedence sometimes, you know? But I will try to upload a reading vlog next weekend for you all so that we can continue our little adventure in making these little ghosties. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging with these half-finished ghosts. I will be completing them and I will film it so that you can see, because if I'm sitting crocheting, I may as well film a little bit of it to show you all what I'm making while I read. That counts as reading content, right? If I'm reading while I'm crocheting, that counts as reading content. At least it does in my mind. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!